You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and what follows is a conversation between myself and Rhys Fox. Rhys is the bassist in a Sunshine Coast band who go by the name of Muules. I'll spell that one for you. It's Muules. I didn't say W because it sounds like you're saying the letter W. Get it? Anyway, check out the band's music on Facebook. The reason for the conversation is to promote the band's brand new EP, a 3-song effort called In the Lines Between. Now, a bit of a heads up, we talk about the bass guitar a lot during this conversation. Do enjoy.
Yeah, I just had my phone out because I'm walking right now. I'm just leaving the function.
Mate, I hope it's not too inconvenient. What sort of function is it?
Oh, no, it was celebrating the faction. You know the faction at all? The metal radio, sure. The digital radio station?
Yeah, okay,
they just had their first birthday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
is that, so you're
just left just then.
Are you, you're not obviously not on the Sunshine Coast, though, are you, at the moment? Are you elsewhere, obviously in Brisbane?
No, I'm in Brisbane right now, yeah.
Uh-huh, there you go. Oh, mate, good on you. All right, well, look, I won't take up too much of your time then, mate. I actually really appreciate you reaching out because I am quite passionate about bands from the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast because I'm basically from both places. And
all right, cool.
I've spoken to Cody Simpson, who represents the Gold Coast, I think, really well, but I had a chat to MJ from Dear Willow the other night, and I've spoken to Victoria and Dan from the excellent Fragile Animals about 12 months ago or so.
Fragile Animals,
yeah. Now there's you guys. So when I saw it was, I mean, gosh, anybody listening, don't take this the wrong way, but to be honest with you, fuck it, I'm free to pick and choose whoever I want to talk to based on the fact that I want to promote Sunshine Coast music. When I saw you were from the Sunshine Coast, I went, oh yeah, and then when I checked out your music and it was quality music, that was fantastic as well. So it just sort of meant it was going to be a bit easier, you know what I mean, rather than have to try to...
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it is bloody good music, and I'm biased again because I'm a bass player. I'm a career bass player.
Yeah, okay.
So when I didn't actually know on first listen that it was just a sonic wall of bass guitar that I was listening to until I actually read some of your stuff on the socials and in your email. But I was really, really bloody impressed.
That's good.
Yeah, so I was really impressed, and I know, of course, that's all your work that's doing it. But my first question for you is: was it a on purpose decision to pursue the band using the 4-string alone, or was it one of those situations where you tried guitarists and just for personality reasons or musical reasons it wasn't quite working out?
Actually, I'm a big fan of Royal Blood. So the way that they do things, and also Death from Above 1979, like they just got rid of the whole guitar faction whatsoever. And sorry if I'm sounding out of breath here, walking. I've been playing, like I also play in a reggae band too, right? So in that sense, the reggae band is very not restrictive, but there's a lot going on. So with what I wanted to do with Muules, I was feeling kind of down in a sense because I wasn't able to go into a songwriting mode, and I've been writing songs I've been playing bass for 25 years. So I just really needed an outlet, and when I fell in love with Royal Blood a couple of years ago, I thought, man, these guys are onto it. They know what they're doing. They got rid of the whole guitar factor of it, which, I mean, nothing against guitarists or anything like that, but they can be egotistical and difficult to work with and never listen to bass players. I don't know if you experienced that. But
yeah, you just nailed it. Yeah, so in cover bands that I've been in, I can count on one hand the amount of guitarists that I'd even call friends after working in the bands, and I've been in many bands, as I'm sure you have, mate. You end up butting heads, and I play... My natural style is funk and disco, as long-time listeners to the show will know. I play around Brisbane in a covers outfit where we're playing Kylie Minogue songs, that sort of thing. Olivia Newton-John. I'm strictly about pop music in terms of the music that I'm performing.
Yeah.
And mate, it's been a bloody struggle, mate. It's been a struggle with drummers as well, I've got to tell you, especially when I'm playing like a lot of the slap bass stuff. Just getting the drummer to understand that they've got to lock it down now. I'm going off. You've got to lock it down. And there's a time and a place.
Stay in the pocket, mate. Stay in the pocket.
Yeah, but then they don't get it. They don't understand, and
no.
I don't know. You know, I don't know what people think. I just think that they, for starters, they're not used to a bass player taking charge, is what I find.
Generally, no. But that's. I think I had something to prove for myself, and I also wanted a challenge. I mean, I normally play a 5 or 6 string bass, so going back to a 4 string, let alone a short scale, it actually challenged me. It restricted me in a sense, but also it sort of pushed me forward to okay, I got to try and think of 2 parts at the same time. And it took months of research how to figure out how to do the whole split signal thing. And then some people might say, "Oh, you got to do it this way," but no one tells you direct. And there's certain ways of doing it, and the way I do it works for me. I'm not going to say how I do it, but I just find it freed me in a sonical sense. Like it actually had an impact on my bass playing for the reggae band too. Even the whole band noticed a change in my style and approach to certain bass lines and that, and it's beneficial for both, I guess. And I'm just lucky that I've found 2 other musicians that saw my vision and went with it and thought it was great, and that's how Muules came about.
So how do you find people react, especially musicians? Because I know there are a ton of musicians on the Sunshine Coast. So how do you when you're up on stage and you're looking out there and it's just say this is very visceral music you guys are doing, it really comes at you.
Yep.
So do you find people are just sort of like come up to you after the show and say, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah, I've actually had to after my first or second gig, I actually had to start putting stickers on all my pedals.
Oh yeah.
I just didn't want people figuring out, because I think it was the 3rd show we did, and we haven't been together that long. Really, we've been together for just over a year now. But I spent a lot of time putting this pedal board together and figuring out how it all works. And I didn't want someone to come through and just go, "Oh yeah, that's how it works," and let's go do it. No, you figure it out yourself, like I had to. So yeah, I was packing down off stage one time on this 3rd gig that we did, and I had 2 members of the band that was playing just after us. One was the bass player, one was the guitarist, and they both basically had a quick squeeze at my pedal board and just went, "Oh, how do you do it?" I'm just going, "I'm not going to tell you that."
Yeah.
So if you really know, if you understand pedals and you understand how all the split signal works and that sort of stuff, you figure it out. I mean, I actually really I get a lot of appreciation, particularly from guitarists, just going, "Oh man, I would never have figured a bass player or like a bass would sound like that," and you nailed it. I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Well, I think you've been playing a long time as well. I've been playing about 25 years as well, and when you play for that length of time, you've actually taken it to the limit of how far you've taken it as far as you possibly can without using effects and a daisy chain of signals, effectively. So you start experimenting, and through hard-earned application, if you like, you've arrived at a point where you're justifiably proud of your sound, and you want to effectively patent it by keeping it's a Muules sound.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to rip on like Aaron Roy Blood does, but like you see his pedal board, it's just huge. It's massive. Mine's like probably about a third the size of what he's got. But I'm very, very protective of how I've put my sort of like effects in order and how they're set and everything like that. And I've probably got 2 or 3 more to go. But there's also another. They look at the pedal board, but they don't look at the other things I've got on the side there, which they just sort of ignore, which is like, I'm not going to say what they are, but it's extra bits and pieces to it that actually add to that sound. It's not just like just those pedals alone and that's it.
Well, it's also, are you right-handed? You're a right-handed player, I assume, like 90% of us?
I'm just a standard.
Yes. So it's also, are you a plectrum player or do you play with your fingers in Muules?
I'm actually, with Muules, I play with a pick because I've got to get that real.
You've got to get the attack,
kind of. I've got to get the real rock sort of, and to get the guitar tone right, I really need to have that really nice attack to it with a pick. I've tried using fingers and it just doesn't work. Whereas I'm normally I'm a finger player because I like doing like yourself. You were saying like getting the slap mode. I still love doing that, and technically I'm way better on my fingers than what I am with a pick. But
yeah, it's like that, isn't it? I feel like as I've got 2 left all my fingers are thumbs when I'm playing with the pick. I was talking to David Ellison from Megadeth about it last week, and I said, look, I really rate you as a player because a lot of people think playing with the pick is easy, but it's bloody hard. And as a lifelong fingerstyle player,
it's difficult.
Yeah, I find it very difficult, and I've got a lot of admiration for bass players that play well with the pick.
Oh, definitely, and particularly like with a certain speed too, and the way the certain tones they're getting. Definitely, plus like you had to go into the whole world of choosing the right pick thickness, and I was like, oh man, I've never had to do that. Like, so you have to go experiment with because different pick thicknesses obviously give a different tone too, and I've never experienced that. And I sound like a complete newbie when it comes to that, but that's fine. I don't mind.
Mm. Yeah, I love the bass, and I'm also a guitarist. I've done plenty of gigs as a guitarist, and I don't enjoy it. It's a simple fact of the way that I play music. I'm better off playing with a bass. I've played a ton of gigs in a duo where I've been the guitarist and somebody else has sung, and I really feel spent. I feel exhausted, but I just don't enjoy it at all. So I find myself I've just kept on coming back to the bass guitar. So I've tried to branch out a little bit so far, and meaning so far I've expanded to the point where I'm doing a lot of this music journalism. I'm 40 years of age, but I'm back at uni studying full time so as I can put some framework around what it is that I'm doing here with the music. But musically speaking, mate, I really don't. I play the guitar at home here for my kids because it's, the bass is boring when it's just you and the bass and you're trying to play Under the Milky Way by Steve Kilbey in the Church, for example. It's better off to play the guitar. But as a stage instrument, there's nothing. People who aren't bass players will never understand the sonic clarity and the breadth of the sine wave when it hits you, when you really know how to play the bass guitar and you're in the middle of a really deep groove and it's just throbbing, and you've got that all to yourself up there on the stage.
Oh, yeah, particularly like I only discovered Sans amps in the last year or so.
Yeah, I use them.
And man, they've made a big difference. Oh man, I love them. And just the fact that you can actually hand control over, because they've got the DI out of it, you can hand control over to the front of house, and you can control the sound of what you want there. And I'll use my bass rig here as fallback, and I can have as much bass basically as I want on stage. It's not going to affect too much, assuming it's a big gig. I'm not talking about small ones or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I just love that. You got to be able to feel on the stage. If you can't feel on stage, it just feels strange.
Oh, it's terrible. I've done too many gigs to mention where there's been a 95 decibel limit. I used to play at the Cool and Beach Hotel many times, the old one, the one next to the Caravan Park.
I know the one.
And 95 decibel limits, and even the new one, it's very low. I've done gigs as a guitarist and as a bass player at both versions of the hotel there, and I don't know. There have been times where I've just literally turned myself down to the point where I can't hear myself, and I've just started riffing because I just feel there's no point in sort of getting stressed out about it, because you take it to heart, and then you can't wait for the set to finish and go and grab a beer and sort of...
Yep, that's right.
And just sort of try to reset.
I agree with you. Most of the time, you just have to take the bottom end out of your signal and just hope for the best. But what's the point of having your bass if there's no bottom end, really?
Oh, O'Malley's was terrible for that there at Mooloolaba. Those venue managers or whoever they might be who don't know how to use the equipment that measures the decibel readings stand right up near the front of the stage where the music is obviously loudest, and they go, "Nut, you're well over," and then they're pointing at me because I'm off. I'm not playing anymore. I might look like I'm playing, but I'm not really playing at all. I have to get my head right down next to my speaker cabinet to hear what it is that I'm doing. I'm just effectively miming. It's a pantomime for me at this point, and it's bloody frustrating because you spend so much energy.
Disheartening, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is, and I mean, I'm always grateful for the fact that we have an outlet to perform, no doubt about that. But it is discouraging. There's no two ways about it when you're a bassist who loves playing the bass guitar, as you and I are, and you don't get to perform and put on the show that you want to put on for people who are listening.
That's right. I mean, basically, when it comes down to it, people are generally dancing to the bass and drums. They're not dancing to the lyrics or the guitar or anything like that, right? And it one of the other reasons why I decided to not even have any guitar or anything like that, and it's kind of egotistical in a sense, but I've been in plenty of bands where, say, we finish a show and they come up and basically people in the crowd have come up to the band and go, "Yeah, that was a great show," and I've actually said something like, "Oh, yeah, thank you," and they're just gone, "Who are you?" And I feel like saying, you were dancing to what I was playing, okay? So yeah, those bits. It is an ego thing, but I mean, why else were we playing? We playing because we love music and we love people appreciating it. But if you're going to ignore the fact that one of the main parts that you were dancing to doesn't exist basically on stage, then
I basically, it's not that I avoid people talking to the general public whenever I'm playing, but you get far too many punishes. You know, the ones who have had like 5 or 6 drinks or more, probably more, and God knows whatever else they've taken.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yep.
And they make a beeline. And
do.
I've spoken about this many times on the podcast series and on the radio show. And they try to tell you exactly what you need to do to improve your sound, like they're an expert in your band.
Oh, yeah.
And
I love those. Yeah, they're great.
You're like, you've just got to suffer through it. And these days you end up just putting on a sour face and looking at your phone for the football score or something just to get out of having conversations with some people because you just can't stand the punishment.
I usually just smile and nod.
Yeah.
It's just smile and nod and just go, yeah, okay, you know what you're talking about. Hey, that's a great show. Yeah, thanks for coming. Yep.
Yeah.
If they paid to see you and then they come and give you some technical advice, I don't care. They paid, so it's fine.
That's a bit different. Yeah, I'm playing in covers. Nobody's paying to see you. You're just the soundtrack to their drinking.
Well, yeah.
or the sound, or as I like to say, the soundtrack to them avoiding loneliness. You know, it's a lot like that when you're playing covers. You do. I mean, it's not always like that, but if you're playing the suburban venues, yeah, you can tell the serial, the committed drinkers that come in every weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. Bit that way, but
yeah. Look, I've been in bands that have done I haven't done the whole covers route thing, but the great band I'm in, we do 3-hour shows sometimes, so we do have to sneak covers in there, and I know the slog. But at the same time, I'd not be playing. So yeah, I do. I don't think I'll ever see myself going down the route of having to play like full covers. I don't think I could do that. Yeah, so I don't envy you, but I also appreciate what you're doing because that's no way. I don't think I could do it.
Oh, I enjoy. It's one of the few outlets I get where I can play in front of people where I can really let loose on some disco style bass lines. That's what it is. And I might, you know what I'm saying? I might suffer through Summer of '69 and Brown Eyed Girl and all that bullshit. But when it comes time for me to say, lay down some fat and nasty chic bass lines, or even some of the stuff I'm doing, Diana Ross or even the Olivia Newton-John stuff, it's all bass, man. When you listen to it, that's actually what's keeping it going. And to your exact point, you said it a few times, and I so totally agree with it. They're dancing to you. The heel hits the floor, and then the ball of the toe comes down at the exact moment we hit our note when the bass drum goes like that. And they don't understand what's happening, but that's exactly what is happening. And I've said that a few times to non-musicians, and they don't understand what the hell I'm talking about. But without the bass, there is no groove. It's as simple as that.
Well, that's basically a Victor Wooten song right there. you actually pretty sure you just named a Victor Wooten song. You know who Victor Wooten is?
He's a legend. He's an absolute
Look him
legend,
up if you've done that. Yeah, oh, mate. Yeah, he is an absolute... Yeah, he ain't no better.
He's phenomenal.
What a freak nature that guy is.
Mate, this conversation could go on. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I host the Scars and Guitars podcast series. That was my conversation with Rhys Fox from the band Muules. Thanks for tuning in.